So I'm toying with an idea. I was working this morning on a Sunday and I had an epiphany. I'm calling this Missionaries Money, Jesus and Business. And let me give you some background about how this title came about. So in the 70s and 80s, I was blessed with an absolutely wonderful church that I grew up in. A church that in the back of the church, there was a map of the globe. And there were missionaries that little church of maybe 150, 200 people supported around the world. And when I was trying to figure out my career, I knew I didn't want to be a preacher because I don't ever want to wear a suit. But the idea of a missionary came across my mind, but that just didn't pan out. And obviously, I went off to college, got a bunch of education, and ended up in my first love, landscaping. And through my landscaping gig, my side gig, which has been the weekends, has been to develop RV parks it really started out for one of the Hispanic guys that works for me. Him and his family were living in a place that wasn't necessarily safe. Kids couldn't have dogs. They didn't have anywhere to run around in other than a parking lot. And I had land, and he asked about moving an RV out there. And I was like, yeah, I can make money on that. So fortunately, his expectations weren't high because this RV park for a long time has been a mess. But he moved out there. We got him water, we got him power, we did all of those things. He moved out there. And as I have been working out there and trying to transform this space, I've been able to watch his kids play. I've been able to watch him build pride in the little space that he has. I've been able to see him invite his friends over for Christmas and in times like that where they all gather and they kill a pig. They bring the pig out there, they roast it, they kill it, and you have this wonderful sense of community. And that has been an incredibly fulfilling aspect of what I've been able to observe out there. And really, it's been a effort of my heart, because when I look at the money that it's cost me to do this, it's I don't know when that ROI is going to happen. But I started out with this one fella, and then I've been able to add a couple more people out there. And I've seen people that come from broken homes, that have kids, that don't have a whole lot of money. They don't have the money to go out there and buy a big fancy house and land. And I've been able to see a group of people that maybe don't have the same educational opportunities for their kids. They don't have the money to buy a schwanky place. But I've slowly been able to provide that for them. And it's been incredibly fulfilling. So as I've developed my second park, I'm out there working, and I had this epiphany. See, I see people that are good people, but they don't really have a clue about things. They don't value education. They don't understand that they can raise themselves out of their current circumstances, or their kids can at least. I've got one family that they have two little kids, and they don't understand that them smoking all day long in that RV is going to hurt their kids. They have no clue about it. I can tell they care about their kids. I know that, but they don't understand these things. And I see them making financial mistakes that 30 years ago I didn't understand. And where this idea has been born from is to develop an RV community that whoever manages that RV is more of a missionary than they are a manager. Now, no doubt they have to have cleanliness, they have to have neatness, they have to collect bills and all those other things. But it's also a place where they can be a pastor to the people in that park. There's an idea. In other words, what if the pastor of that RV park didn't just go knock on the door to collect money, but went and knocked on the door to see how they can be a servant to the people in that park, to see how if if those people's kids are struggling in school, well, can they hook them up with a student to tutor them? Can they instill in them a vision of uplifting their children from that area? What if that pastor ministered to those people? So this is an idea where we know that if money is the only thing, then it's lifeless. It doesn't have a lot of meaning. You got to have money. You got to make money to do business. You got to have that, and that should be an intent of the business model of this. But then there's got to be more to it. There's got to be a leader in that park that ministers to those people, sees those people as their flock. Not necessarily go out there and go, is there a Bible in your RV? No, we don't need that. But we do need a person who can show those people Jesus Christ. We do need a pastor manager of an RV park that sincerely cares about the people that are there. So my vision sometime in the future is to acquire more land and keep that land beautiful. Keep that land like this land. Beautiful. Not your typical like grassy area where you put sardine RVs in a can and say, here's your home, but a beautiful place where kids can run around in the woods, kids can experience nature, kids can appreciate nature. Build it so it's as maintenance free as possible. Build it so that people will appreciate nature. It makes money, and there's a minister to those people. There's a vision that just popped up in my mind while I was working on my second RV park, and I hope that one day on a much larger scale I'll be able to create my third RV park.